get players, and they're just like, I fought this guy in the edge side of zone. Oh my god, this happened all the time. This is what we're watching right now.
And it's still not done. I assume Toos will go back and farm up a little bit more, but you'll notice Coop editing his own metal. He's kind of dived into some really serious mats here. He might be kind of low overall, very close to what Toos is as well. And he had almost triple, quadruple Toos's mats. So you can really see, I would say, experience trumping over aggression right now in the form of Toos, utilizing this bush as well. He doesn't have to use any bells, doesn't have to move. He can just track the sound. That's what he's looking for right now. And eventually, even the body, remember, heavy shotgun, one slug, it can just deal that full damage all the way from across many boxes, but Toos does not find a single shot. While this is all still going down, while we see cars rotating, no one has gone down. Reese, still 82 players alive.
Yeah, since we started this 82, actually a player's just been rebooted. It's now up to 83. So while this fight is going on for that extended period of time, it's actually, in all honesty, the game's just gone up.
Yeah, and the funny part is whoever wins this fight, it'll still be 83 afterwards, because a reboot will come in too. This map is not moving.
I think we're gonna have like an 80 moving zone. I think we're gonna break Fortnite.
They just have unlimited minis that can just survive throughout Surge and then just go straight to season 1 type endgame. That's where the, you know, blam blam starts to come out.
Oh yeah, bang bang, bang bang bang. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, looking over at this side of the map, however, we see a bunch of our top teams still sitting around in that area. A lot of them above Storm Surge, but Castry and Vortexi have now rotated in all the way down from the power towers, the bottom side of the map that they've dropped in at. I want to know if they're good on Surge, if they're in that situation, because obviously they know a fight's going on here. The shots are connecting with Toos at this point. Like, we know that's happening. We've seen this go back and forth. I'm not surprised about that, but what is happening with Castry? Do they know? Does Coop know that Vortexi is right behind him?
Vortexi doesn't play games either. These guys are not a fan of watching movies. You just have to get in, 5-minute animated short, get out. There's no funny businesses out. Already, yeah, Coop, his HP is getting a little bit lower. Vortexi, Castry, that classic pinch is starting to come through, claiming that reboot ban as well. I think these players understand that it's 2 solos now since that ban is boxed up. Nice defense from Vortexi. The spray comes in, and they end the conversation in a mere matter of seconds. That's Coop going down. Toos gets to see another day, but that's a duo with a free pickup and healing.
They are still below Storm Surge after that. Now it is going to be active, which means it's going to be tagging. Toos is fine sitting at the backside while Seti and Chapix are rolling in. So there's 3 different teams coming into this engagement. The map in the bottom right, the third zone's also pulled here. So these guys can just kind of sit here for a little bit. Unless, of course, you're Vortexia, who needs to hit some damage, hit some shots, get himself above the threshold. And I don't think there's an easy target lying around unless you find Toos sitting back in those 900 boxes he built, of course.
Toos is trying. He has enough eliminations already to be a little bit higher on the boards as well, but it is very early. I've never seen Camp Cuddle less adorable ever in my life. It's absolutely ferocious right now on this side of the map. Talk to me about this zone 2. If it's centering up on this island, we have a potential for a full water zone. That makes things very difficult for teams.
Yeah, one of the interesting parts about this is, firstly, there's hills on the north side, so there's going to be some elevation up there. Where they're at right now, a lot of that congested side will be in that east, which will have to make people swim across the water to get there, so it's going to be a little rough.
Absolutely. Look at Sanji right now, 2 down on Surge, all the way over to 30 HP, but he actually makes it happen. 1v2. Bo is down for now. He'll be able to get way back up, but can he survive? Doesn't get to pick up any of those extra shields, really. Just the mats, and now every single player's looking at him. Nova 2, 9 below. He's 1 damage tag, 1 shot. But no, he goes down.
No Coach Harry, their coach is going to be not so happy about that one at the same time. The planning, unfortunately, didn't go into action at that. I'm sure the plan was absolutely fantastic. I know my boy would have put in a good plan for them, but the execution just not quite there for the Storm Surge tags. Sometimes just hitting the shots is all that counts, right?
That's all you kind of need to do. I've seen so many players end up missing a few, and then, like, you know, it doesn't seem like a big deal till that number comes in. It's kind of like, you know, you're ordering dinner, you get the receipt at the end, and you're like, oh, that's what all my decisions are amounting to. And Sanji as well, he has a huge bill. He can't pay it. Just watch him cleaning the dishes in the back end.
Unfortunate for him, he goes down. One of our tilted towers, teams not looking so good from then. A difficult spot to get Surge in when there's not like 4 different teams in that area right now, because usually you're the team who's getting tagged up at the same time. And notice, again, now that we look at the map, this is exactly what I was talking about. The east side becoming super congested, in particular up on top of the hills. The players are trying to get up onto that elevation early, just in case the zone ends up pulling there. But you never know. I'm thinking that next zone, the 4th zone, is going to pull a little over to the east, or sorry, to the west side, and a lot of these players are going to have to potentially even go through the water, which is a really, really rough rotate that you do not want to be making. Players that already set up hills will just get nice big beams on you if you do that.
Yeah, this is where you kind of wish you had wings. You know what I mean? Just migrate all the way.
Well, Vino does. 2 launch pads coming from the drop spot.
Where do you want to use those though, right? Because a lot of people just want to save it completely for another portion of the game. Hold up real quick because Pickle is basically getting juiced right now. This is going to be mucho unfortunate for him for the moment. Meld already down, him as a solo. All the Spider-Man, web shooters are active, but he can't really use them. You're so kind of free inside the air to get shot at. Every single team's looking at this too. You see a big tower falling over and over again, Reese. You're hyper-focused on landing that final shot.
Yeah, okay, so they're in that rough spot. They're up top right now. I'm not sure what he can do, let's be real, at this moment at all. Going back to Sanji just to see exactly what happened there. That was what got him above the Storm Surge threshold of that moment to Malumo. He tried to hit the launch pad. The entire lobby heard it. You asked me the question, Shao, when do you want to use your launch pads? Way down into the back of the zone. The ideal time really is that first moving, right? When you get into that first moving zone, you're going to be sitting, you're going to use that launch pad to get you to the front side of the zone, and you're going to be absolutely fine there.
This is the POV, the interrupters, I would say, of the region so far, at least in game number 1. Skyzoo, Jocks, 2 different POIs where they've just won fights, and now they're still looking to be on the hunt. I've never seen aggression like this in the semis to start things off in terms of, tactically trying to claim above teams' bases, trying to stay on the move and go from spot to spot, especially staying highly elevated. It costs a few mats. You can already see Skyzoo, basically all the wood is gone. In a spot for a refresh entirely. I don't think these guys are going to be able to survive too long, Reese, if they go for this strat.
You got to remember, there's barely any materials to reharvest here, just based on the fight we saw at the start. Every single map was gone from then on out. Good job from them layering up, getting up to a higher layer, as you mentioned. That would give them that opportunity to launch pad, if they have one, of course. I can't exactly see, for that first moving zone.
Joe have the 2. This is the Covert Cavern team. They're going to have the best chance, we're talking pre-show, right, to win this first game. That is the condition they're set out for. That's what they want to do. Have to stay clear while doing it. Handle this like squeeze, though. Bunch of shots. Pig already down, and they have a few more in their sights.
Yeah, and Lex is a team, you know what? I've not been as impressed with him across the whole season. As soon as he started playing with X-Squeeze, though, things started to click a little bit. They won a cash cup. When it came to their off-spawn and condo, that's going to be their biggest issue. But today, that's not really been a problem for them, given that they've not got as many of the biggest teams like Vidil and Reason next to them at the same time. So, they're a lot less difficult off-spawn. Now, that's kind of in their position to thrive. Like, they're expert players. They know how to get Storm Surge. Hopefully, we'll figure out, and we'll figure out at the same time if they can play endgame. We'll decide that after this game. As we move back over to say in Chapix, who's a POV we've looked at a couple times today. A full western zone for them means that it has been a little bit difficult to get their Storm Surge, only 63 above at this point.
Yeah, their mental is kind of shared with the rest of the server. There's not even a single duo inside that zone properly. We have that orange one at that bottom right. You can see they're at the top of it. There's a few blues inside as well, but the whole server, as you called, Reese, will have to move.
Well, indeed. As soon as we got that bottom left-hand zone, exactly as I mentioned, that congestion up in the northeast, looking very, very juicy. A lot of the players right here are going to have to figure out, can we launch pad or can we use someone else's launch pad? You see the mythic Spider-Man's web shooters in someone's hands at that moment, and we'll have to see, are they going to decide to use them? They pop the pepper, or are they going to end up one using them? Potentially Scram, then Refscar walking by foot. No, they both have them, so okay, here we go. The rotation's on, and see if they can hit the max distance.
See what ends up happening. Steady rocking in. Chapix on the right side. We'll see how things end up moving. Camp Cuddle, everyone's driving in, flying in. They're all going completely straight for prime position. Camp Cuddle is anything but that right now. People might be box to box, but not going to be happy about it for the moment. Steady Chapix have driven all the way up top to a patio. These guys are ready to just wine and dine it out. This is crazy. How is this even allowed? They have one of the best bases there too. Complete opposite side of the map entirely, and they get to roll in on the best prime spot, saving all their mats. Just one truck and a dream. Make it a reality. Look at the scope of the zone 2. Every single box, metal, brick, people all in, and Seti's there with the shots as well. He knows exactly what's going down on the backside. This is what happens when you end up moving early, forcing teams all the way down below. They know exactly who's low, who's going to be desperate for shots. One teammate left by himself, and Seti's ready to strike. Piercing through the walls, Chapix drops on the right side. This is huge, and there's the knock. Not even finding this position. We're getting a full refresh, getting elimination at this point. Seti and Chapix are playing this perfectly.
That they are veteran players, getting the Storm Surge in that 5th zone. This is the perfect time to do so. This is the time that now they don't have to worry about it during the moving zones, right? They have great positioning, they have great heals, they have great mobility at this point. They have everything that they need, either to go for the victory royale if they need to, or potentially just get deep into the end game, get enough points. They've already managed to accumulate 10 at this moment, which is absolutely fantastic to keep themselves moving up the leaderboards. But here we go, the first moving zone of game number 1 of the semifinals.
Vino and Joe have position and 2 pads still. You mentioned it. It's huge. 108 damage above this wall. They're going to still keep things low, not even building inside this entire house. Remember, this is what we saw Coop set on fire. We started the game here. It was aggressive. It's getting crazy as we keep moving on to. They start to look back. People trying to follow their line. Setting now. Low Zols. Chapix is taken out at the exact same time. Skyzoo is there on the bottom side too. Too much interruption in front of all these teams as Chulux ends up taking him out. Joe down, but he didn't have the pads. It was Vino, the duo who were destined to win this game, gets split apart in half, and Vino's having trouble getting off the ground. He gets taken out. A chance at victory, a chance at finals denied. It's xqueeze and Andalex on height that make it difficult for any team to move.
This is not the time you want to be taking high ground, though. This is way too early when it comes to these reboot-style games where the Victory Royale will qualify you through to that moment, because what you got to remember is a lot of the players in the lobby are going to be looking to take high ground because they know that is the position for them to pick up the Victory Royale.
xqueeze Andalex looking really good right now, just staying away from everyone, staying away from the chaos. And it also goes downhill, pressuring teams even more. You got to watch your footing. It gets rough.
Okay, at the same time, backside his own, Refsguard left as a solo losing scram at this exact moment. He's got the heals, but he's only down to wood, which is a clear sign to the rest of the lobby that he is weak and he should be shot, but he's doing such a great job of getting to the front side of the zone and keeping away from everyone else.
Dodges every single shot, absolutely, and gets inside one of the wooden boxes that he built himself. 12 bulls left, so that's just a few more to go. 3 different positions. He can kind of hunker down himself. But did you see Janice and Vortex also kind of going for height? What happened? Those high ground leaders, where's xqueeze, where's Andalex? Not sure if they ended up going down, but now we have one of the most aggressive duos that are so good at closing out games, holding off one of the best positions overall. If they get the win, they get to move. Andalex, xqueeze, push down towards the ground, eating dirt, but at the same time, surviving. No mats on the other side. xqueeze now low, has to get a few more shields up, but there's invaders inside their boxes. It's not looking good. Andalex with the back shot, and then once again a pickaxe swing from xqueeze. They're desperate. It's still not enough. Down to nothing in front of duos. They had height, but they go down.
As Vortex still up on the high ground, up above, trying to spray that down to the lobby down below. This just reminds me of the qualifier to the final game where they popped off 10 elimination Victory Royale, and they're looking to reverse it, do it in game number 1.
Genesis Vortex calm now up on height. You got to remember, if you're in this position, yes, you want to be milking elims if it's a consistency type format. They still kind of are, but the win inside these semifinals also sends you straight to the finals. You don't even have to play for the rest of the day. Swilliam and Lecce have made it through such a grueling process in their POI as well. Chonker Speedway is no stranger to disaster, to fighting, and right now they're going to be matless completely, also looking to keep their game alive. A low ground position is also one you can win from, but they need a huge refresh right now. They can't hear, can't see anything, dropping down to the final layer.
Yeah, if we're going to bet on anyone to get a 50-50 hit the shots, it's going to be Lecce and it's going to be Swilliam. Swilliam, one of the best aimers on the Asia region before he came over to EU. Lecce, one of the biggest, but no, he's going to go down, leaving Swilliam as a solo in the backside zone, and he's going down to the low ground masters of Kinzel and Disiptos.
Eviscerated, and we'll have Disiptos and Kinzel waiting there too. Janice Vortex here as well. This could just be a finals game lobby with the who's who of Fortnite inside. Center Rayed inside the mid ground as well. 6 teams, and you can kind of feel the pressure. Not a single AR shooting, not a SMG rattle inside. It's just shotguns left and right. This is absolutely disastrous for a lot of teams who are matless. But Disiptos and Kinzel are still moving through. They find the front side of the zone. They're looking really nice pressure on the right side. That's Fury on their walls. Disiptos, though, taking crucial damage to claim all this land. That's going to be fine for him. Genesis and Vortex are trying now to find a little bit of a say inside this conversation. Lusha and Fury right above ahead. A river in the way of Disiptos and Kinzel as well. They got the med mist popping too. This is still getting close. 4 teams now as you see Rayed go down. That's Vortexia raining fire from above.
Kinzel Disiptos now down to 0 materials each. 1 build actually onto Disiptos. 1 work that he can work with from here on out. But at this moment, I've seen him clutch up already in the qualifiers. A bigger match than this. But the zone's about to pull uphill. The high ground teams will have the advantage. That single wood build place, the spray starting to come up to the players up above. But no, Lucia just has enough.
Big edit from Fury, though. That's going to be a huge interruption to zip those down. All of the Kinzel. Shot from the backside. Lusha gets it, but who's on high ground? It's Vortex. It's Janus. Have been waiting. Time on their side. It's still a 2v2. No knocks yet. Fury is going to get a few builds up. Is it him by himself, though? Yes, Lusha is actually down. 2v1. Janus and Vortex, a ticket straight to the finals. Alive. Thriving for them right now. All they need to do is wait this out. I do not see Fury anywhere. They have so much time for the moment. Where can he run? Is he going to strike is the question. A wall put down. Fury is still in the storm. Here's his last leg. A chance at possibly the biggest shot of his career, but it's going to be absolutely denied. Vortex and Janus went out that first game.
Absolutely no surprise at all. One of the most veteran teams in the lobby of Janus with the newcomer, the up-and-comer of Vortex, ready to pop off. A team who should have performed so long ago in the FNCS, in my opinion. Game number 1 of the semi-finals of FNCS, already punching their tickets straight through to the finals.
Yeah, don't even call it last minute. This just feels like they were flexing a bit, trying things out in the qualifiers, and really showed us here when everything is actually on the line, they know exactly how to perform.
Yeah, and you know, I kind of called it. If the mentality was right, if the momentum was there, they were going to be so ready to pop off, and that's exactly what's just happened. Fortnite community, thank you.
Reese and Shy Wager, thank you so much for that first game here of day 1 of semi-finals. My goodness, Reese's prediction, of course, Janus and Vortex. Reese, it makes me so upset. Anytime you do this, you're like, oh yeah, Zeke, well, you want to talk predictions? Of course. You start throwing names around to just distract me, right? To just get my little goldfish mind moving around and be like, oh yeah, no, that's a good team. And then you just casually, after everyone makes their picture, like, oh yeah, just Janus and Vortex. I don't know. I'm just pulling a couple duo names out of a hat. Like, I don't know. He does this every time, Levin. Every time.
Look, Janus and Vortex, one of the strongest duos. Look, I said it around 4th zone. I think when 5th popped, I said in our production chat, spoiler alert, they're going to win the game. Because at that point, you know, when you've watched how they play, at that point, they had gotten a refresh in the feed. It was just over from that point onwards. These guys know everything they need to do. They have all the fundamentals of a top team. Like Reece said, it was surprising that they were at this stage because they have looked impressive at moments. And of course, now they'll get to show that off in the finals. Congratulations for winning that first game.
Yeah, and I mean, Jan is somebody whose name is synonymous with not only being in the finals, but winning them in a lot of circumstances. So not surprised. He did prediction. He did predict it. He has the receipts in the chat there. He even wrote it down. It wasn't just like calling it out over the side. He made sure he was like, yep, put a timestamp on it. Levin called it.
Yeah.
There were so many duels in this, just game 1, right, that were just falling left and right. I think back to that early game fight, Thomas HD versus Dino. Not going the way I would have anticipated it going. But, you know, this is just going to happen, right? A lot of nerves here in this first game and in semifinals specifically. Tayson gets the rough end of this initial fight. But, you know, we're going to see these kinds of things happen, right, Levin? I mean, this moment in the qualifying run, essentially, right, where they have to pull something. They have to put the pieces together, and they have to kind of change the total flow of how they're playing their game. Semifinals and qualifiers, they're just played similarly, but honestly very different.
Look, Sundown, you said it best, right, in the green room. Look, it's rough watching 2 of probably the most talented Fortnite players ever whiffing shots off spawn like that. And the big thing is, Joe and Vino, right, going on after that game, after winning that fight, I'm sure Tayson talks to be like, you guys won the fight, you didn't even win the game. Like, we gave you your one chance to actually go out there and win. Now we're going to hop back in and get the rematch of that one. And so if it doesn't go Joe and Vino's way, I'm sure they will be really regretting that one because that was a golden opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get many opportunities where some of the better players in the game just straight up don't hit their shots. And now you can see as we flip over, some of the better players in the game taking that game number 1 there, Zeke, with Gil, Janus, and Focus Vortex in the victory royale spot.
Absolutely, Sundown. And I think, too, a lot of these names we saw in this final zone, right, I kind of think about Fury, right, coming in that 2nd place, almost getting themselves the victory royale. But remember, Fortnite fam, you guys watching at home, Victory Royales will auto-qualify you in the finals, but that doesn't mean that it's over, right? We're still playing for series points, and at the end of the 5 games, the top 6 will move on through. So right now, even with that leaderboard, you see a lot of these players after this game 1, they're in a good spot. This is a good start, but it's still not enough. I think about like Swilliam, right? Swilliam and Lecce. We saw them. We kind of talked about them in qualifier 1 and 2. They haven't really done too much, but they're still making in the end game, right? Like the competition is just full of talented duos. And I think what better storyline, Sundown, than Swilliam coming over from the Asia region and being like, hey, what's up? I'm in finals now too. What's going on? Nice to be here.
Yeah, I think anybody playing across regions, it's always an interesting challenge. And in a format where all it is to win a game and then it's making end games and consistency points, there's a lot to be playing for. But one thing I want to note is the development in reboot round style games where the winner ends up going through. Before, we used to see a ton of floppers, a ton of heals, and everyone playing the heal offs. It seems like we've shifted a bit away from it.
Man, I see. I like this topic. We're going to touch on this more after this next game, but for right now, we're going back into all the action. Reese, Shot Wager, back over to you.
Thank you so much, Zeke. 11 and Sundown does have a little bit of a fact there, right, Reese? That game, I mean, there was no kind of heal-off type thing. It was very serious all the way towards the end.
You got to remember that with the recent changes, not that long ago, obviously this season, the zones are now extended. So are you really going to be able to heal off? The only times that you can really prep for that is if zones pull back and back and back and you're really lucky, so you don't have to waste those materials to keep building on through. So we're probably, I don't want to say we're probably not gonna, because there's been a good few heal offs this season, but it's unlikely that that will be the main strategy to win a game. I'm thinking it's just going to be high ground.
Yeah, I think the opposite to heal off would then just be damage on 24/7, right? You always gotta find these things to say. But what also kind of hit me like a wet cloth in the wind right now, Reese, is the fact that we only have 5 games. Depending on how you do your math, we're almost halfway there, right? Game 2.5 overall is kind of where you want to be looking at. This game is where, you know, teammates and teams are gonna be like, is it working? Are things not working? Is there time to readjust in this type of format?
Firstly, I do not want to see what your maths grades are like at all. We don't have much time to figure out because game 2 is ready right now.
Game number 2, if you made mistakes, if you had that 50-50, a second chance possibly to stay inside the same line completely, the second chance to try to go for a win or stay consistent. For Joe and Thomas HD, it's the fight I'm kind of alluding to. They're on the same glide path again, Joe, slightly slower, and Thomas with a huge glide all the way in, but he does find a fishing rod. Unfortunately, first is going to be rough. Chest kind of hit, but it's going to be Vino by himself, and now it'll be a 1v2.
That just shows how important those drops are. If you've not mastered that drop map, it doesn't matter how much you potentially bought a dropping map, you have to practice it. You have to make sure you have the golden plan down, because Thomas HD and Tayson are going to be in there practicing. They're not going to be guys who are looking to miss out on an FNCS finals because they do not know how to land on a gun.
Most definitely. I'm looking at the P2 to see which other players are making it in or out, because this fight might last a while. Kylie getting a nice little elimination. But expect him and Fastroki to honestly make it through today. You always have that one off duo win. You know, the high ground retake or like the surprising. Where were they the whole time? It's always Fastroki, man. He's just there somehow, an invisible demon.
Yeah, and like Fastroki's made basically every FNCS finals of the last year. Actually, no, he did make everyone. He came 3rd in the Chapter 2 Season 8 with CRR and Aqua as well. Like a really, really talented player. I feel like that just doesn't get enough credit. And as I say that, like, I don't know enough about him because I don't give him enough credit personally.
I try to know more about him, but just like watching his gameplay more so than everyone else. I'm looking at some craziness though. Okay, splash saved. That's what I'm talking about. I don't know where that auto shotgun came from, but at the perfect time.
That's another one. I mean, I'm not going to put numbers up, but that's 2-0 to Splash right now, going up against Aqua and Noah Rayleigh. And honestly, like, so far, like I said, I think Noah Rayleigh and Aqua, they're going to win a game. Even if it's not in this session, it'll probably be across the weekend. But right now, like, across this FNCS, and this season, like, hasn't really been looking that strong. Struggled to find a duo that worked with when it came to the Cash Cups. Now playing with Noah Rayleigh specifically, and it's not really been going fantastically so far. So, you know, I want to see him on top. I'm a huge Aqua fan. I'm a huge Noah Rayleigh fan. This isn't just like the tier 1 gameplay that we're used to seeing yet.
Yeah, there's just no, sense of Aqua control, a sense of like separation from them and every other team. It always looks like you don't even have to put Aqua on it. Noah Riley's doing something different, right? Especially in duos. You talk about duos, Noah Riley, Vidil, Reason, that type of trio. We would expect that they would have the utmost aggression, the utmost success in a format that, you have more fights in, you have a little bit more dynamicism.
I mean, you say that, but the other part of that trio is already qualified. They've already made it. They've already punched their ticket straight through to the finals already. So it seems to just be Noah right now that is struggling. Well, actually, Andrea and Flois are that we're watching.
A little bit of struggle all the way around, but with Skyzoo down inside this game. I mean, he had 4 eliminations coming in to game number 1. Very different for a lot of people around these POIs. Flois with the beam, too. I know that him and Andretta aren't as aggressive. Jox actually goes down off that. That's crazy, but this will be a quieter game for a lot of duos here on the north side.
I got really excited there because we saw the third-party spray from what I'm almost guaranteeing would have been Ref's Garden Scram as they drop on the shell or high water over to the west side of that, and they'll be sitting up on the hill. They'll be third-party in this fight right now, and I saw the bullets come through, and I was like, oh, that elimination's not theirs, it's been taken. But no, they do manage to get both of them, which is going to be great points, especially considering Andrea and Flois went down off spawn in game number 1.
So what are teams who are looking to qualify for just the top 6 doing right now differently from the VR boys who are just looking to win the game?
I mean, realistically, like, I use this word every day, every broadcast, but the consistency is what matters. Like, if you're a team like Ref's Garden Scram, they're not game winners, right? At all. I actually checked. They've only won 1 game in a set lobby ever. Right? So
what?
Yes, and going back, and I think that was with Stompy when they were playing with them.
Yeah, and they've had like second place runs. They've had like top 5s and stuff. So that's crazy to think about.
Yes. So very much so not game winners. That doesn't mean they're not winners overall, right? They're fantastic players, and guys like these aren't playing for high ground, right? They're playing that low. They're playing that mid. They're making sure that they can consistently get deep into end games, get those, well, basically rack up the placement points, get the eliminations as you need them, and not be overly aggressive. The players who are going for wins, they're making risky plays. They're taking fights. They're diving into boxes. They're taking the height. They're getting front zone to spray and high. It doesn't matter, right? You're going to see a really difference in the cadence in which the teams play.
That clash will definitely just make, very interesting things happen, because all the time that, that we watch FNCS quals and even finals, everyone has kind of attraction to playing consistently or maybe going for the VR, but over here you can really see the differences actually clash side by side in terms of talking about finals appearances as well. Analytics and Squeeze, we're on screen right now. They've been around more than everyone else. I feel like Analyx near season 6 of Chapter 2 started to get his flowers as well in terms of like people realizing, wait a minute, this guy's absolutely insane. Like we should be looking at the way he plays, him, Nate as well. How are these guys actually here every single time? I feel like this season I've seen them struggle the most though when it comes to duos.
I mean, I feel like the last year and this time has been the time they've seen them struggle, right? Like Analyx, we all of last year set Analyx up as like the day 2 guy or the second half guy, where he would pop off in that second half, but the first half would just be kind of shambles, and that kind of reigned true realistically. Nearly every FNC's finals, he clutched up big time. I'm trying to figure out what that's actually. You know that I think about that. That's even been the same with the Cash Cups now, because the first 3 Cash Cups didn't make it to the finals, and then the other half he's won one. I think it's like a 10th and a 3rd as well. So it's like maybe this is. But when does this start for FNCS? Is this now? Is the semifinals the time that they're about to shine? They're about to pop off, or is that going to be a finals day 2 where we're going to see them place middling, kind of like they have towards the end of last season's trios?
I feel like they're a duo, or Analyst specifically as a player as well, is someone who needs control, right? I feel like when you're in duos, it's a lot harder to get, having one less teammate, having the drop switched up completely as well. You saw the struggle that Analyst had at the start of the season when, a new map dropped out completely too. There's definitely questions that need to be answered. There is a time that these guys end up turning up. It should be right now. Getting in early, claiming a drop before everyone else inside finals as well, that'll be huge for people's success.
But with Analyx, let's be real. Firstly, they're not claiming that drop spot because they're trying to go condo. Reason Vidil already there. They're not going to budge. They're not going to leave. Almost no chance of that at all. There's also another team that's already looking to contest them there as well, which is Hook and Zestin, who they've already fought, who've really been good in that drop spot. So I actually think Analyx team's the worst off spawn when it comes to that condo. A great team, but they're just fighting some demons right now.
Absolutely, just in the gym trying to work it out. It's gonna be tough, but if there is a team that can do it, it's always XRMii and Analyx.
100%.
I mean, 20 finals, the stat speaks for itself, right? So they are definitely in the business. I'm loving just the overall ambiance of the semifinals, though. A lot of the times, game 2 is where things tend to go a little bit crazy. People are like, all right, you know, off spawn, I went down, it's time to go just bazingo mode on everyone. Just end up diving into boxes. I want to go from sleepy and just go into Clover Cavern and see what's happening there too. We have one game of things to work with, but right now everyone's playing it close to the chest.
I think Thomas and Tayson might be that team, though. I think he might be speaking a bit too early, right? They managed to obviously win the off spawn. So they have the double launch pad. We're also seeing one on Thomas, which means the other one's on Tayson. Look at the inventory that we have on them right now. Like, absolutely stacked to the gills. And they're making a smart play. They're rotating to Greasy Grove. That is smart because you got to remember our previous game winner, Janice and Vortex, they dropped Greasy Grove. So this probably means that a bunch of teams who don't know this drop spot have moved here. They've switched over. Less experienced teams in this area. So Thomas HD and Tayson can rotate through the dead side, come here and pick on some of these teams who probably don't know this spot as well.
They kind of remind me of mall cops right now. You know, they end up just getting too close to your car sometimes when they're driving in the parking lot. Plus, like, they're just trying to wonder what you're doing. Like, bro, I'm shopping. It's a mall.
You're making me uncomfortable, man.
Like, hey, it's mid-game. I'm refarming. Like, there's nothing going on here. Just play your game. Look at your loadout. Like, you know, you're strapped up. You're looking good. The moped's nice. Just go about your day. I'm a customer.
Yeah, that's the kind of feeling that, see, I'm not a driver, so that's that feeling when I go into a shop and I walk and like I want to buy something. And then I'm like, I don't want to buy anything. So I walk out and I have that awkward feeling where people are looking at me because I've not bought it. It's the exact same thing.
Definitely there. So we'll see who else these guys end up questioning inappropriately, I guess. Just, you know, unprovoked. Yeah, hopefully appropriately. Unprovoked is the word, though, yeah. And meanwhile, you talk about, you know, the consistency we're looking at. Rest guard scram. I mean, first game, whatever they did got them towards kind of 9th place overall. I like that. If you're doing like a stay in top 10 performance, you got to remember 5 teams are leaving. So that would leave you at top 5 if you just played 10th place kind of consistently overall. I know it's a little bit of mental math, and my math was shot at the start of this entire game, so I'm trying to make up for it, you know what I mean, with some intellectual knowledge.
I feel it. The thing is, they also came 9th in Qualifier 1, which was 1 away from the qualification slot. So if history was to suggest anything, you know, right now they're primed for a 7th, which I hope not, because I want to see Refs Garden scram in the finals.
That's true. But 9th in a format where 5 teams are gone, that's 4th overall. So,
but were those 5 teams the teams who would be up there on the leaderboard, or are they teams who just picked up 1 victory right now?
That is true. I didn't think of that. Maybe I'm just, you know.
This is why I did good in math in school.
Okay, so
you said this is the halfway point.
See, you got the application portion of the test locked down. Me, I look at it and I flip the page to the next page and be like, oh, I can't answer these either. End up just flipping the test page for 2 hours and then just circling random things. But, you know, we're here. We made it.
We've all been there. Notice in the bottom right-hand corner, we're going to see the map right now. This is another south zone, southwest in particular. So we've already noticed Thomas HD and Tayson are in this location. They're fully on the dead side with a ton of their surge picked off. And this isn't enough. They're still trying to pick on other teams who are around them to try ensure that they are up above. Look how careful they're being too, right? You can see that Tayson's obviously going to speak right there to the AI, the bot that's in there, because it gives him chili chug splashes if you manage to get enough gold from the utilization of the vault. I'm trying to remember. The vault. There we go. There's a word. Easy to mess them up. So they got the vault from the drop spot, moved on here, got the chili chug splashes. To me, 2 launch pads, probably 12 chili chug splashes in the inventory split across the 2. This just smells of high ground.
It also just smells of you know, being rich. And although that's a good thing right now, I'm going somewhere with this. It's a good thing right now, right? At this portion of the game, look what happened to Joe and Vino. They kind of got Robin Hooded by the entire server, right? Everyone just kind of picked their pockets apart. They had too many things to think of. So I like the fact that Thomas and Tayson are still kind of playing how they are. You mentioned it, right? That type of aggressive variety, the game 2 silliness of just pushing random hills, going for aggressive positions. Maybe Joe Vino last game got a little bit overwhelmed with the inventory they had. I want to see the power definitely that Thomas HD and Tayson have in their inventory be utilized. Them still playing like the Thomas and Tayson we love.
I think we're going to see that, no doubt. You know, they're playing smart. They're playing on the dead side. Every position, every rotation is calculated right now. Like, this is a game plan. This isn't a team that we saw earlier on in the season of these guys where they were just playing a little bit. They hadn't put in the practice. They hadn't got the strats down. This is where these guys absolutely thrive. Season 7, remember back to Tayson. Horrible season for them, quite frankly. But when it came to the semifinals, dominant performance. 2 out of 6 games won, clutched massively, and then ended up, I was going to say winning, I'm getting ahead of myself, coming third in the finals as well. So it was like, when it mattered, Tayson can perform. And Thomas HD is exactly the same thing. That's why, like, I'm so confident. I said it from Qualifier 1 that Tayson and Thomas HD will qualify.
Definitely will. Right now, Skyscraper getting chopped down. Timber, but it's metal that's being just picked apart. Vortexia, once again, him and Castery, absolute nuisance, but this is a multi-layered Exponential. This is going to be a little bit of a Uno reverso for Vortexia and Castery. Another team below them as well. Ended up chopping them out. That's Clement and Floki, who are now alive and not fighting off of spawn. We get to see their trap-making prowess. Ever seen a trap on, you know, another trap just completely sprung completely? That's just, I don't know, only in EU type stuff that happens.
Only in EU, indeed. But obviously, like, Vortexia and Castery, they've been a nuisance today, you know? They've been the guys who've been rotating in. Like, 2 eliminations so far in this game. We saw at least 2 in the previous game as well when they rotated into Camp Cuddle. But now Vortexia losing Castery, not great, you know? Not great for his setup at all. This late into the game, if he's going to have to try and get a reboot, he's going to have to go into the zone. He's going to have to probably move somewhere else to get something up. As we switch over to Kane and Cruel, some of the best Cash Cup players from this particular season below Storm Surge. Maybe it's just because they aren't as experienced in a lobby of this caliber.
Experience makes you just be a little bit more comfortable, makes you not as panicky when you're moving around. Kane Cruel, that panic seems to step in. Unfortunate 2 different times of opportunities for Kane to get a box. He does not. And now the pressure just collapses on him from all around. This is going to be trouble. Cruel already down, and now Kane is also out. That's going to be free for Tyson and Schmecky. They were not even expecting to get all that surge, all this loot, but here we are. Sometimes you get gifted, sometimes you put on defense, and you end up coming out ahead.
That's going to be huge for them. Remember, these guys have been fighting off spawn. We saw some of the kind of awkwardness in the previous game going up against Murstache Malabuka. They won that off spawn this time, so they've managed to do huge things, pick up more. They're chilling for the end game. Moving back. This is the replay of Vortexia now.
Yeah, this is him inside the 1v2. This is against Floki and Clement, and does he get at least one before he goes down? No, he's eliminated completely. Lots of damage, though. And you can see the difference in pressure, Reese, right? Kane, he's put on the back foot. Yes, he might have missed a few shots, but he didn't end up doing any damage at all. Vortexia, meanwhile, 1v2, he ends up almost taking out one entirely, even at kind of their elim beds completely. These players are absolutely ferocious.
Yeah, they're causing a carnage to the lobby, right? If you get near them, if you're coming close to Vortexia, like, he has the aim, right? You know, he is a controller player. He managed to utilize that to the finest. If you get close to him, if you're in a 1-box perimeter, he's going to hit the shots. He's going to tear you down and do a bunch of damage, as we've already seen. Switching over to Resguard and Scram, who are in a great position, unlike Nico and Dan, a team who've doing super well this season, but not this particular game because they've gone on that late rotate. They're getting held by what seems like 50% of the lobby.
I'm liking this. At the top, you have consistency reigning true with Resguard Scram. Bottom right, Setty Chapek's looking for any opportunity to really start to pop off. They don't really have a foot in either VR or consistency category. Then you have Tayson and Thomas, who are looking for that win. 3 definite, very different mentalities of approach when it comes to playing this zone in Rocky Reels. Tayson and Thomas, nice high point right now. They're going to have to move. I like the fact that they have a launch pad on either teammate too. Depending on who goes down, the other one's going to end up clutching.
Yeah, I don't think this is the time they want to use it. I'm not a veteran player, let's be real. But at this point, they're trying to spray out those players up on high ground, get some distraction going, get some of the other eyes focused on them. Because there's not actually that many players around them, right? They're on the dead side. They're going to pop the Chili Chug Splash. They're going to get to that front side. This should be an easy rotate, in particular with the new sliding mechanic here. Going downhill, even just utilizing a little bit of your wood, a little bit of the brick, something that you can reharvest here. They're opting for metal, of course. No problem, because you can get it back. You're just in that safe rotation. Now all they need to worry about is getting in to that 5th zone when it pops up next.
Looks really good. Let's see exactly how Resguard actually ends up using the pressure he had before. This is him actually abusing timing as well. Nico and Dan move so late. They just pick one apart as Dan goes down momentarily after the frack on the other side. Now you're looking at timing as well. Thomas HD, Tayson, move early, moving fast. Yes, it's a little bit risky. You end up using a few more mats, but you're there now. For everyone else, 14 seconds still left. Resguard and Scram need to move.
I was going to say at that same time, Nico and Dam are a mid-map team. They managed to struggle getting to a relatively close zone for them, not the closest, whereas Scram, alongside Resguard, veteran players, almost a max distance zone for them, and they understand rotation timings. They understand that they have to get to that full south side early, and look, there's the absolute result of that. Easy eliminations for them.
I'm looking at Analyst Squeeze now. Love these vehicle type rotations and the whiplash with the chonkers, but now it's too high to fly past that low barrier. Analyst just free builds and moves. And in the backside, he's just taking shots at everyone. Is he even allowed to play like this? This is crazy. Absolutely naked on height. That should not be possible.
You can do whatever you want. You're an absolute veteran. We saw there, however, xSqueeze's HP was extremely low at the same time. Seems like they managed to get themselves a great position in that earlier zone. They're already going for high ground, whereas Seti and Chapix, a team right now who's going on the low, trying to get those beams, trying to get the shots, and play for low. Yeah,
low on everything, too. Look at the threshold on the right side, 36. And just like the temperature it would be, it's getting a little bit too cold for them right now, freezing almost. They need to really start to heat up and land a few more shots per action. His feet showing off on those lower builds right there. And Seti just knows. He just has complete awareness of every team around him. And now with Coop down 2, he sees it in the feed. He goes back to frack and tries to get a few more shots into Fury on the bottom side. Is pressuring that duo. Chavic's not finally beside. It looks like these two have been on very separate adventures, gotten a lot of damage off of it, and now are finally ready to move. But so is every other team around them. Fraction now box to box with them. This is going to be huge if they get this refresh. They don't have zone just yet either, so they have about 10 seconds to get ready and done with this fight. Then they have to move. Any more time than that, Reese, this is going to be absolute trouble.
Yeah, see the tarp the Seti made? He pre-tarped his way into zone to give himself the space to work with. Imagine he hadn't built this. This would have been freshly built as they tried to rotate in, and the rest of the lobby would have had their eyes on it. This has allowed them to go for this elimination on the frac, manage to get some damage off, and this should be it. Yes, that's going to be it.
Time, though. 15 seconds till they have to move, and they're also still deliberating on what loot to get. They don't even get the elimination. That was a Vove from a complete other different box. All the time they invested. They don't get the siphon. They don't get the points, but they do have the mats. That being said, 1 second left. Yes, they'll be towards the close side, but they've been completely blind as to what's going on above them. Seti builds a few boxes, understands it takes the lay of the land. He knows that the right side is a little bit free right now, and yes, they start to move. Now, from the top side, though, Chapix gets beamed on the backside. This is not going to be an easy rotation, but finally, they find some shelter. Going to be delayed here as he has to heal.
Even if they make it into this rotation, that's a lot of materials used, almost 0 brick onto Seti at this point, and they're not going to be able to harvest that back at any point, which means they're going to have to go for a refresh at some point soon.
Absolutely. Look at Refsguard's move, though, on the bottom left. 3 thwips, and he's already in. That's going to be huge. Scram beside him. I'm looking at this team and seeing exactly how they're going to navigate that low ground. Meanwhile, Andalex, yes, he drove in. He looked free, but a little bit of jail time, some punishment for xSqueeze right now because he is down, and it's all up to Andalex now.
Yeah, that's why you have to shadow players in duos, right? xSqueeze with the duo, you have to stay so close. If you don't, if you're separated, players can take advantage of that. They can box you. They can pick you up like that. Andalex managed to do such a good job of getting up there, but without xSqueeze.
Every team is struggling, though. Kinzel down for now. Kefi, who's usually in and always shadowing his duo, splintered apart. He's gone. Jamsud down to Slove. All these survivors we're used to seeing in the mid ground in these end games, they are not making it there, Reese.
They're not survivors, but Seti and Chapix right now thrivers in the lobby. Hopefully with a launch pad, but I highly doubt it given the fact that they made that shabby rotate before. The Chili Chug splashes in the inventory, and here we go. Here's the above view, the plan view of everything that we need to see. The launch pads coming out. Thomas, HD, and Tayson. The team with 2 launch pads. The team with the Chili Chug splashes from that fantastic rotate. Get themselves into a good position. This launch pad will take them to the front side of zone. Let's see if they go for the high ground play or not.
So many different decisions on where to actually base up. They want to be ahead of the zone, but at the same time, there's so many people all the way at the front side who are already claiming the land inside the sand. Thomas HD just bases up slightly, but so much damage already taken. He has a few minis to get all the way back up and up beside Tayson as well. You talk about shadowing. It's pretty dark inside this box. Both teammates side by side. It's looking real good.
It is the Chili Chug Splash pop. They're going to start to try stagger a little bit here, wait for the zone to catch up so they can use that increased movement speed to get themselves up to the front side of zone, similar to Refsguard and Scram here on the full dead side. 5 below the Storm Surge on moving zones. You're going to have to start to make a play to get inside the box. The spray starts to come out, and here we go. Are the crosshairs going to be placed on the head? Are they going to hit the shots, or are they going to be dwindled down to the Storm Surge?
They're just like spinning tops around inside this storm, completely lost, can't even land a single shot, but Refsguard finds it when it matters most. Down and out, though, before they get to that crucial placement towards the end game. Who is it on top? Who is controlling the lobby? It's Andy all the way on high ground, and they are looking good.
Clutch King, you got to remember back to Chapters 2 Season 7, the high ground was won in absolutely incredible fashion by them, but Thomas HD and Tayson are now looking for it. Look at the sight line, look at the vision. They're propping the launch pad, they're going for it, but no, they didn't manage to actually get all the way up. Such a good control from Ziandi alongside Alex Scott to hold things down. So now Thomas HD and Tayson are going to have to reevaluate that plan.
stuffed and denied. Andy, though, is a little bit too high. So, yeah, they're going to try to go all the way back down. See the pad, too, that a lot of teams might be able to reuse. And there's a sneaky boy going straight all the way up for height. Who is it? Who's trying to claim this high ground right now? It's a complete build fight all the way towards the top. Big shot, 71-27 to respond as well. Andy is looking good on the defense. This high ground is untouchable. Slove dropped all the way back down to mid. Chased by Andy. He's mad. He's still going for complete control. Still has a few shots for mid-range as well. This man can do it all. He's got 4 arms while he's playing, but 2 get chopped down as that build goes away. Andy still is all in now. 7 builds. He needs this refresh. Zygot is nowhere to be found for the moment. He's facing the whole lobby by himself.
It's a mechanical masterclass from Zandy and Alex Head on high ground, but Moss, you can see using the Spider-Man to swing all up, but down on the mid ground, Tayson Tayson is down, leaving Thomas HD by himself to clutch up. If Zandy's one of the guys who can clutch, Thomas HD is absolutely one of the other names you've got to put up there to pick up a victory royale as a solo.
What happened to the zone? I see Irazumi and Belusildo on the backside gone. I see all of the height things that we built up completely shot down. It's Mosh now by himself, who's just trying to maybe make this a win. Thomas HD has a chance for that clutch too.
You do hear Mosh up on the high ground as a solo trying to spray down below another solo. The game of solos. I thought we were watching duos. 0 builds left to his name, but look at the inventory, the weapons, the firepower that he has with the aim. Yes, that's going to be elimination down to the player down below.
That's 1 for Thomas HD. Mosh all the way on height. He's still running shots down. Thomas now on mid-ground still with just 4 builds. Mid-air shotgun shot. This man hits the hard shots. 2 armored walls. 2 builds. He makes the most out of it. Most important fight now on the left side. He's not controlling any of the builds. Thomas HD is still looking for the pressure. He's still going, and Clownski is down. Thomas makes it out, but no, it's Mosh that actually grabs all the pressure from Putrick up on the top side. It's Toots and Putrick out of nowhere who take the fight all the way on the top rope and get it. 5 different teams. They seem to be the only duo alive right now and are looking healthy, but mats for everyone are dwindling thin. Thomas HD is all the way on low. He needs this Elam fast. Time is not on his side. Trapped now. Yes, his other team opponent actually needs to know that he needs to go up. It's Clement. No Floki. He's down 2 inside the storm. Thomas HD. 3 teams alive. 2 solos, 1 duo for the moment. He's trying to just stay away from any of the action. He does not want to be the focus of anyone right now. Has the builds, just 1 box to use, and maybe a ramp afterwards. No more armored walls. Can't even hear who is where around him, taking some zone damage already. He tries to get ahead, but that's his final mats. The gold won't help you here, my friend. You need to land those shots. He has to go for first, maybe even second for the moment, but things are looking absolutely disastrous. Thomas HD is by himself, and he can't find anyone. The GPS is off. The lights are completely down. Thomas has no idea where to go. Inside someone else's box, and he does not get that elimination. This will do everything for Future Continues to know exactly that they need to drop down. What a formulaic win for them. An absolutely great takeover and a cool VR for game number 2.
That is massive, but you know, that's going to be huge for all the Camp Cuddle teams. That's 1 more out there. Foos and Tutrick, who we saw have a, let's be real, very questionable fight in game number 1 that dragged out. No issues with that in game number 2. Clinical high ground retake towards the end of the 3rd move-in zone. And of course, the victory royale, and pick it straight through to the final.
They have been bullied for like 2 months, I feel like, playing this game. And off of that win, they finally have some happiness. Big ups for those guys for getting that win.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge for them, like I mentioned. I'm interested to see that drop spot in the next game as well. Look, there's only so much that we can say. Let's throw it back to the desk, see what they've got to say about it.
Oh, we got so close to the solo clutch from Thomas HD. My goodness. 11 casually in the back when I was like, oh wait, is it, wait, is Tayson down? You're like, yeah, Thomas HD by himself. He's gonna close that splash. So close. I just cannot believe how incredible Thomas HD is, right? We've been watching him all last year, right? Continue to develop and hone his skills. We've known for a long time that when it comes to just raw aim ability, technical prowess, the ability to absolutely just roll people, he's capable of. But now, especially here, Levin, when that difficulty is just that much harder, the pressure is just that much more. He's almost taking away victory royales.
Yeah, he's in his element here, right? This is where he can just rely on his individual talent to carry him through. And look, this is the first time Thomas and Tayson haven't auto-qualified to a final, right? So you can see he's taking it personally. He came out there and was absolutely on one. And look, obviously wasn't able to get the victory royale in the end, but if this is a sign of how he's going to continue to play throughout things, it's going to be a very, very quick session for them, I'll tell you that much.
And that's a lot of points. Don't forget the top 6 teams who don't end up getting a victory royale will end up going through to the finals. So despite the fact they weren't able to snag the ticket right then and there, they're still going to feel pretty good about that. That's going to rocket them up the leaderboard a significant amount. And if Tayson doesn't kind of get randomly picked, they're in a much better situation.
I know. I feel like if they had just been together, right? And we've talked about this like solo clutch factor, and in trios it was a lot more difficult, right? 1v3, but now 1v2, especially when you're someone like Thomas, these things can actually go in the way of the solo. But we can't forget other duos popping off here. We also had people like Andalex, right, who just were absolutely terrorizing the lobby here. It's crazy how they're able to come in and just completely shift the dynamic of a game, right? They just show up, and because they just exist, because his name is just Andalex, you see his name show up in the feed one time, and immediately you have to think, okay, wait, he's around. Is he on my layer? Is he a high ground player? Did he pick up elimination near me? I mean, Levin, there's just so many factors. This Shark is just ready to try and find those eliminations.
Seeing Andalex and Thomas being able to just run around as solos, wreaking havoc, it is honestly Fortnite heritage there. Like, this is what it's all about if you're someone who's been following FN Comp for a while, because these two are two of the most talented players. And, you know, a lot of the things I said about Thomas just a second ago, you can apply to Andalex. Very much out here, you know, really looking to just show off his prowess, show why he's considered one of the best players to play this game.
And again, I mean, you want to talk about veterans going all the way through. We haven't even talked about the players who ended up walking away and then winning the match with that brilliant high ground take and coming through. The pair of veterans just able to run it down right from the top. Toos and Patrick. I mean, you saw just the chaos that happened up on the high ground, and it felt like whoever ended up on top with enough materials was just going to be able to run it out, and they timed it perfect.
Yeah, look, you know, it got to that 8th zone, and you know, Reese mentioned it, the third move in. That's when you got to start making a decision as a duo, right? You got to start thinking, okay, what's our win condition here? How do we actually win this game? Cool, we've made it. You know, we've done a brilliant job to get all this away. But how do we win this game? Do you look down? Do you look up for height? They looked up for height, and like you said, the perfect timing. They won out the game from there. This is going to be a team who, moving into the finals, will be a big threat. But as you can see, we've been talking about these standings. Even if you aren't winning games, you still want to make sure you are doing well when you play, because you want to be in the top 6 at the end of the 5 games here. Of course, a lot of these teams who are on that page, you can probably see winning a game. Like, I'm not going to lie, at some point I will expect Andalex, right, who's sitting on that top 6, to win a game. And so, still, a couple more games to try to get it done. But so far, I've not been disappointed by these games whatsoever.
And it's just going to get that much, I don't want to say, like, easier, son. That's not the right word, but as these, like, players are getting the victory out, they're removed from the pool, right? So that might free up a POI. Reese literally just kind of hinted at this at the end of this last game, but Sundown, if without these duos around, it's like suddenly you have this breathing room. You're like, okay, my POI is uncontested. Oh, I know one POI is uncontested. Now it's all about evolving in the moment.
Yeah, one of the things to consider is if you're one of these top 50 duos, it is a long haul. You have tons of opportunities to get it. Eventually, you're going to be able to get a match. And also, don't forget, it's not like the semifinals has all of the major players pulled out. It's only the 32 best players so far, the best duos in Europe, who have been pulled out. So the best of the best are still playing and going through. Every single one of these duos is capable of winning 1 in 16 matches, which they have the ability to play in. They just have to go through, stick to their game plan, and eventually get that chance. And once you get the opportunity, you got to put your foot through it and just keep going, right?
That's right, man. 3 more games to see how this all unfolds in just day number 1. So for now, let's jump on that battle bus again. We got Shawage, we got Reese. Now we have game number 3.
Thanks so much, Zeke, Levin, and Sundown. And once again, Sundown leaving us with some awesome words. Time is still there. It's of the essence, but Reese, you have to grasp it. 2 games already down, 3 more to go. This is going to be tough for some of these teams who are having a rough day.
It is, and you know what, like you mentioned, 3 games left. The teams who are down at the bottom of that leaderboard so far, who, you know, off spawn, be it with Surge, early mid game, whatever it is, like, they're gonna have to sit and think in their head, do we change drop spot if we're contested right now? Some of them are kind of opening up across the map so far. You don't probably know that. Are other teams gonna look to land there at the same time? Do we just play for the victory royale as the games start to get closer to the end? Are we still trying to get points in any way, shape? I think game 5 is gonna be very interesting for that front, you know. But the teams at the top, hopefully just clean sailing from there on out.
Yeah, many different hallways to walk down on, but only one door for all these teams, right? We have 3 more we're going to sign off with straight to the finals, and we have that top 6 as well. We're looking for the consistency overall. That being said right now, I mean, we have some really cool teams to look at to try to root on for. I'm liking the NLX and X Squeeze situation that Levin was talking about too, a possible win for them coming through. But Lucy Hydro are making it a little bit more consistently towards these end games. You don't usually see that from this team, Luce.
Yeah, you don't at all, to be honest with you. And the team I actually want to talk about, I'm just going to totally sidetrack that because I love those guys. But Floki and Clement at the same time, you know, we saw them through Qualifier 1, Qualifier 2, struggle off spawn, continue to fight, but have some good games in there. Right now, that last game, 7 eliminations and a 4th, looking absolutely fantastic. But here we go. We got game number 3 underway. You hear the bus. Here we have it. Game number 3. 2 down. The actual midpoint, not the midpoint that Shio suggested in the previous game. And yet again, we're starting with the same drop spot. Covert Canyon. Vino's got the drop spot nailed this time.
Thomas HD missing the 4th shot of this off spawn. 5th, 6th. Don't make it 7. That's what I'm talking about. The lucky number, and he's there with the 144. The first game started off just like that too. That's 7 shots to take for him to basically get online. They're in 7th place overall as well. The stars are aligning for Thomas HD and Tayson Reese.
I don't know what I was sweating more at, the end game where he was solo clutching or just that 1v1. Like, I'm checking my pits right now, I'm telling you.
Oh my goodness. Vino though, he should still be around. Unless that was Vino that was taken out. I was just paying more attention to the shot completely, but Joe and Vino are there somewhere. Aqua and O'Reilly, I see 2 eliminations. Is Aqua allowed to play in the FNCS now? This is crazy. Usually just hard out every game.
Suggest that was the case. The drop map nailed at this point, the pickaxe, even though he's got the gun out, and that is it. A quick 50-50, and this is kind of what you actually want to do early game. And not usually, right? If you're looking for a consistent game, you don't want a 50-50, but a team like Aqua and Norelli who are going for that victory royale, let's be real, they're trying to win a game. 50-50 off spawn, gets it over with quickly, then they can play the rest of it out, hopefully without that turn of the long off one fight.
Lucky Mr. J inside to fight, and Vico's up against him too. He takes a little bit of a break to go for a few shots up in the air. Already knows he's on the cornfield somewhere and has no builds either. What? Mr. J, that's a 5 HP shot to keep him in the game. 2 HP. You cannot take it easy against these players. First Thomas, then Mr. J. And the fear is still there too. The teammate that we saw before, Wolffield on the top side who's gliding in, is going to have a little bit of HP to get back as well. But Mr. J has to hold things down himself. This is trouble. Wolfie's there to help him out, and he has a little bit of time to get a few mats. This is crazy. These shots, Reese, it really seems like every player's online.
Every single one, the right-hand peak. This heavy shotgun, if you connect with it properly, man, does it do damage. You also saw that with Thomas HD earlier on. Now we're seeing it at the same time with Mr. J here. And obviously, Yikes has lost Vico. He's going down for this 1v2. We know that Mr. J alongside Wolfie don't have many materials in there. So this pressure is going to be really important. Trying to just dwindle away the match. Slow pickaxes, the good angles, but not trying to waste too much time so that Wolfie can pop that med kit that he's potentially just already going to go for here.
Yeah, Mr. J is just holding it out. The med kit does get popped ultimately, and now Yikes has to do 200 total damage. Nice shot. The left one misses. The one fortunate. It's just one pellet, and if it's just hit fired, it's not going to go to the right space. Nice creative edit too. Try to maybe catch Wolfie off guard, but it's not going to be enough, and they make it, I mean, surprisingly off spawn.
Yeah, honestly, what's interesting is that for Mr. J and Wolfie, like, they were in qualifier number 1. Ooh, that's a beautiful shot now they watch it back from that perspective. But these guys were uncon here, right? This is their draw spot that they've chose to in Sanctuary, and they weren't really able to capitalize on that, right? They ended up 22nd overall, and I'm wondering if, in all honesty, being contested will help. As we see Lazen going for the reboot launch, failing it twice, it would seem.
That is the funniest thing I've seen in the FNCS. I'm not gonna lie. I was about to be ready to break that down. Like, this is sick. I like this investment. Yeah. Bing bong. It just hits the
He's gonna carry him through the air. It's gonna be amazing. No.
Oh my god.
But interestingly enough, Lazen and Mirza, like, if you remember back, qualifier number 1, they had a ton of struggles off spawn, and this seems to be absolutely no different right now. They seem to not be able to get a break at all.
Lazen should look up, you know, some stand-up comedy maybe, if this is the case. The FNCS is not working out. He's trying this, though. I mean, we've seen some crazy shots. It's all been thanks to this heavy shotgun, and Lazen has one in his inventory. 4 opportunities to make it happen. That It might be a little bit more than heavy of a shot. You need to land that distance of where the teammate is. A ref starter now. Scram all the way on the beach. Ref still looking for the final confirmation. He's not going to actually leave anything up to chance. I like this. He has the all-in. He has the right angle as well in terms of getting, lays him down, but he stays a little bit back and makes sure that there's no chance he takes extra damage.
This is an interesting fight for Riskard. They're kind of pushing way off of their spawn there. You know, like from the shell or high water drop spot. This is quite a long way to travel here. If we switch back over, see the replay of what actually happened. So this is the fight that they ended up going down for. And I'm guessing right now that you can understand what's happening from this POV, right? This is why Riskard and Scram ended up pushing into that perspective. They see that fight going on. They understand both teams are weak down there. That's probably why they've moved so far out their drop. Obviously, it didn't work out so far for Lazen, though.
This is where we start to see teams try different things, and that's what makes it interesting for everyone as well. It's playing. They have to just make sure they're not getting too comfortable overall. That's what happens in Game 3 sometimes, too. I would assume that a bunch of teams playing right now, Close and Agenda especially, are still frustrated, not fully comfortable with the performances they're getting game after game. I'm seeing right now that, what, 70 points, 60 points is where you want to be if you want to have that consistency angle coming in. Inside the semifinals, they're at 15, so they have a lot of work cut out ahead of them.
Yeah, and like, Andrea is a tarper at the end of the day, you know? And Flois is a fantastic low-ground player as well. Remember back to multiple seasons where he was able to pop off alongside Kaiser and Hellfire in, I think, Season 7 as well. Fantastic low-ground player. Andrea, similarly with Mr. Benji, I say that every time. Benji Fishy and Mr. Savage, again, a great low-ground team. So if you're trying to be consistent here, yeah, that's not the play style that's going out for that. So I don't know if we're going to see these guys go to high ground, but what I do know is that they're hitting their shots.
We saw some low ground teams have a little bit of success, and yeah, they're definitely landing the shots now. We saw some issues with them inside, I think it was game number 1. Ball things were starting off completely, but the main focus too in terms of hitting your shots is what's happening, or what is happening at Chonker Speedway. Floki Clement, you know, Let's William, there's a lot of action.
You know, what's interesting is, like, half the teams here aren't even Chonkers teams. They're Kondo teams. And Lexus team, alongside Malamo's team, are both from Kondo. They both understand the mess that's going on Chonkers. That basically every single qualifier we've seen so far, we've seen this fight draw out already. And now they're like, we get this. We understand what's going on here. We're coming in. We're going to capitalize on that. Easy Storm Surge tags, even if they just sit on the outskirts of it, you know, tickle a couple shots off left, right, and center. And realistically, the zone's pulled into that south side, so they can afford to do this.
From what I've seen, at least from the second, third zone and towards how end games go at Chonkers, the teams that end up actually, you know, at this spot this early, they're the ones that get to control to end game. So having that early spot is huge. Meanwhile, on the snow, Rafaelilo are going to have a little bit of trouble overall. I'm looking at a truck stop where no one's getting refueled. And I love this message. Every week we get a nice reaction. Oh, the chair get up though?
The chair.
Okay,
I mean,
man, we're at that.
What's great is when he's happy, he gets out the chair. When he's unhappy, he still gets out of the chair again.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it. I want to see him just get super excited though. Maybe he'll win.
I want to see them win a game.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm rooting for them for the next couple games. I'm telling you. Not this one. They're already out. But the next 2, I tell you that.
Unless there's like a lottery reboot. Imagine that. Having players just stay in the game. One person gets rebooted.
Big bonus time. There you go. And that'd be great. Imagine that. We just tell that to the players right now. We're just like, yo, a couple Leland points. Go for it.
Sadie Chapik, what is going on today with this team? Because I don't see the consistency overall. I mean, I mentioned they were kind of playing half in and half out of that 2 type of mindset game style. You know, they're in spots where they can be consistent, stay low, but then we see Sadie and Chapik trying to make some moves from mid-ground, make some moves at fighting teams side by side. They seem to be good on Surge too, so.
I mean, to be honest, like, they've not found a home when it comes to an early game yet. They're dropping at the drop spot logjam that they've been at the start of the season when this duo kind of got together, but they've hopped between different places. They've been up to the north of Bugle. Even in this tournament, they were looking like they were going to go to up there, and obviously they are contested there right now with Coop and Frank, who you saw in game number 1. So there's a lot of difficulties. It seems like that early game is like, it's not bad for them because they're benefiting from it, but they're not getting completely stacked. You know, they're not starting that 5th zone with like a cap materials, launch pads moving, you know, the stuff that you need to keep going.
Talk about stack though. Just look at this hill right now. Tayson, Thomas, Scram, Refsgard, Falcon, Astralis. Side by side, this is just going to be tough for any team to really get moving from this spot onwards. I can smell the ego from both sides. No one really wants to move just yet.
This is not what you want, though. You don't want an ego battle. I know. I mean,
I want it, you know what I mean? But we don't want it because it's not.
I want it, but at the same time, you know, I want to see both these two teams qualify. You know, I want to see the Thomas HD, who's currently in 7th, by the way. If you haven't watched the FTS as of this season, the numbers that are next to each other's names is the player, the position that they are in the leaderboard right now. So Thomas HD is in 7th. I can't read. Numbers are not our strong suit today. And if you look right now from this perspective, xWeeze and Andlex in the bottom left, you can also see that where it says team and then a third next to that. So currently xWeeze and Andlex are at 3rd place. Top 6 is what qualifies them, so they are looking really good.
Let a live update as well, so it's not just, you know, how the game starts out overall. So nice. And as we mentioned, 60, 70-ish points, that'll put you inside that top 5, top 6. If you have 9, that'll put you in mental turmoil, I feel like, for the moment. Stash is trying to find a way out of it. He's using shotgun shots on the bodies as a little bit of a reprieve. Alabuka, though, he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Going to be the receiving end from the other team's kind of shots over and over again. It's Vortexia and Catsuri that they're facing off with, plus another team as well. And this is the team I want to see do really well, right? Mustache Malabuka, but they've struggled to this point too.
They've struggled, but now you've got to remember, Toos and Putrik won that previous game. They're out of their drop spot. They're no longer a nuisance to them, so they have an opportunity. They've made it off spawn. They struggle with Surge, absolutely. But this is a team, right, that takes advantage of other players being below Storm Surge, which right now Castry and Vortexia are. They're going to set up traps for you to fall into, walk into, and pick up easy eliminations. And then they're a team who I absolutely think, even if it's not today, even if it's the next 2 days, will pick up a victory. Like, absolutely. They are incredible at winning games with like 10 eliminations. Maybe not every game, but they're able to really go deep into those games, pick up a victory royale.
I feel like there's some teams that are good at winning games when everyone's not trying to win games overall, when they're just playing regular. When you toss them into a format like this where you have other people trying to win, that's where it gets a little bit weird. Like, people don't end up playing like they normally do. You find people inside your spot, you're like, hey, this is my strat, doesn't matter. Castry, Vortexia, low on Surge. You never see this either. They're like, wait, what are we doing? We should be aggressive on other teams. Why are we hiding? And suddenly they're on high ground. If you blinked for 7 seconds straight, first of all, CNI Doctor, I'm not sure what's going on there. And then second of all, they have height now. They were looking so bad, about 100 below. Now they're 47 with some control. It's looking good overall.
The thing is, they still need to get damage, though. They still need to do something. The double controller is difficult, right? It means that those long-range tags are significantly more difficult. They have to do things like this. They have to go for those box fights, so they have to jump in. They have to try and do whatever they can to hit some shots. And unfortunately, they weren't able to do anything at all. It seems like Fury alongside missed him at the same time. They came second in game number 1 regardless. The camera swished past them. My brain went blank. But they came second in game number 1. They're looking good on the leaderboards overall. But at the same time, it's like, that's not a team necessarily want to jump into.
Yeah, Lusha there beside him. I got you.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
But this is also a formula I want to introduce you to.
Players, man.
Yeah, this is tough. It's tough.
Who are you at this point?
Shio what?
Shio Water?
The one thing I'm noticing too is the longer we stay in here, Matt's kind of equal time. Look at Floki as well, right? Just inside this washing machine, like a dish wrapped up in a towel, is just like cracking over and over again as it spins, just breaking everything completely. This is tough for us. Like, the longer these guys stay in, the more they just end up damaging themselves over and over and over. They have to try to get out, but they still want to do damage. Castry, Vortexia, if you're down to drinking guzzle juice to get past Surge, there's some problems.
There's some problems. It always seems like there's a more efficient way to do things. You know, there's a standard regime of doing the optimal way of getting these things laid out. You know, potentially the washing machine not the way to go for them right now. At this time, Lecce and Swilliam managed to make the most of that fight. However, at the same time though, because we did see obviously Floki come in, be the worst out of that fight, and even look at the materials right now. 141 on Lecce. Swilliam, probably, I'm guessing, exactly the same. Tons of heals, everything. They managed to get themselves set up for a potential win here.
Every time someone says Lecce and Swilliam with potential win, I expect some shenanigans. Very